what could be a solution for this issue? First is hate speech against religious minority prosecutions. Basing their study on the Dutch voter interview before and after the persecution of famous MP Geert Wilder on the Church of Muslim Baiting and verbal savagery against Islam, he proved through empirical evidence that Wilder's party's appeal increased after he has tried for hate speech act by 1 to 5 percentage points among the Dutch people who aesthetically supported that amalgamations of ethnic minorities into the largest overarching Dutch culture. So the statements of hate speech against the religious minority persecutions uh, can be overarching Dutch culture. And the second is positive perceptions of selves. So Van Dijk's ideological squirt and the fact that the positive perception of selves and negative perception of others can engenders polarizations in ideology and binary oppositions between different groups. Therefore, such a group, Western media will indeed attempt to represent we, the word we, as favorable interpretation, and they, Islam and Muslim, as an absolute unfavorable one through the application of ideological square and inculcating their intended ideologies. And don't generalize the issue on the media. Edward Said's arguments that both Western politicians and journalists pave way for victimizations of minorities, including Muslims, as a result of which they succeeded in painting a terrorist picture of minorities in front of the mass. Mikdad Farsi from the Muslim Council of Britain rightly point out to the British journalists that you need to ensure that when you write a negative story that is fair and reflective and doesn't generalize about all Muslims and fit into a broader far right narrative. The Western media a tendency of frequently engaging their own commentator for commenting on matters relating to Islam and Muslim was considered as the main reason for biased representation of Islam and Muslim in the Western media. But Western politicians and journalists paved way of victimization of minorities, including Muslim, as a result of which they succeeded in painting a terrorist picture of minorities in front of the mass. Thus, the Western media tend to portray Islam and West as opposite to each other, as a result of which it helped the media in reinforcing stereotypes related to Muslim and Islam. The discourse related to the Muslim is mostly constructed from the Orientalist approach, as Islam and Muslim are constantly compared with the West. Resultantly, the Western media coverage of Muslim reinforced the discourse related to the otherness of Muslim in the mainstream Western societies in general and British society in particular. So this is the references for all what I studies to the role of the media. So thank you very much and jazakumullahu khairan.